Make some noise. If you don't know about road rules, then you don't know, but it is wild, it is crazy. I want to just tell y'all something. If you were not able to be a part of the experience that was road rules, we always go, we always have an amazing time, we always spend time in devotionals and worship, but God did something unique at this road rules this year, and we were hiking up a river, and the Holy Spirit led us to lead baptism, in which 19 of us got baptized in that river at road rules. You can make some noise for that. You can make some noise for that. I just encourage you not to get too deep too fast, but as we kick off this year and we talk about what God has for this year, you just need to know how much he's involved in this. You just need to know how good and real God is, and that if we're listening to him, amazing, amazing things happen. And if you come to Awaken, you know for us, Awaken isn't just a program. Awaken just isn't a group of crazy things that we do. Awaken is about a God who loves you and can change your entire life, and the rest is just filler. And Road Rules was a perfect example of that. But we are here, we are back, we're kicking off a new year. What I need you to do right now is I need you to turn to somebody you don't know, give them a high five and say, I love you. I need you to turn to one more person, give them a formal handshake and say, you were my second choice. And now I need you to find one more person. I need you to give it an elbow tap and said, even worse, you were my third choice. Yes. Yes. But you know what they say, the first shall be last. So if you were third, consider yourself a king or queen, baby. Come on. All right. All right. Man, I am hyped to be here with y'all. Y'all are my family. I just want to reiterate this. If you have been in this room 150 times before or more, you know that this is a family business. We're here. If you're here for the first time, the minute you decided to come, you became family. Awaken is way more than a youth ministry. It is a God-breathed family, and we believe that. So we're glad that you are here, and we are excited for where God is going to lead us this year. But quickly, before I tell you where we're headed this year, and what we think God has deposited onto us for the year. Last year, God gave us a really clear vision during the heat of the pandemic and political division and all these different things and people's opinions on this, that, and the other. And while we're still there, it's a little better, maybe, if you're willing to be positive, you know. Not positive. Please test negative. Do you know what I'm saying? But, like, be positive in life. Okay. COVID jokes. Now I'm out of them for the rest of the year. Okay. We had a vision we felt like God gave us of together. And if you guys remember last year, we talked throughout the year of what does it look like in a world that's falling apart, in a world that wants to fight each other, to be together in all things. And if you were at Revive last year, we nailed stuff up to a cross that said together, and we walked out with t-shirts that said together. And I think the family here formed maybe more than it ever has in one of the hardest times that we've ever seen, but because we trusted that God truly wants us to be together in it. And I think a lot of you are here because last year you felt that. Last year you experienced that and you knew it was real. And we asked God coming into this year, well, the Bible tells us without vision the people perish. So there's a reason that so often you might go to a church and you're like, I just don't feel anything. Or you might see groups that you're just like, I'm not really sure. It just feels like this, that, and the other. And you come to Awaken, you don't feel that. It's because we ask God to give us vision, because the Bible says without vision the people perish. So we ask God to give us vision. Why? So that we would live. That we would be alive here, that you would walk into this room and say, man, this place is different. And we prayed and we prayed and we prayed, and the vision that we feel like God gave was this: different. Different. We think God pretty clearly says this is a year that after last year where we fought to be together, we fought to be united, we fought to truly feel like we were part of this family, this year, in a world, in an age of technology with social media growing every day and new apps like TikTok being the most prevalent thing, and a world of poor influences at young people's fingertips like you've never seen before, they're asking questions, you're asking questions, and you're asking why. You're being influenced to act certain ways. You're being influenced to think certain ways, whether or not you even know it. Like when I was your age, and some of your leaders a little older than me were your age, we didn't have nearly the influences you had. We didn't have nearly the number of voices telling us what to think and how to think it and where to think it and when to go and what to do and where to be. We didn't have that. And you young people do, and we ask God, well, what do we do about that? There's only so much we can change, right? We can't get rid of the internet. We can't force kids to stop consuming negative media and listening to all these negative. We can't do that, so what do? And I felt like God said, you teach them how to be different. You teach them how to be different in a world that just want to act the same. You teach them how to be different when the world all wants to look like each other. When trends are the most popular thing and every day there's a new viral trend, you teach them that's not what they need. They were made and created to be different. And this year we want to, as a family, because last year we were together and that's not going to change. So together this year we want to not only answer why Christians should be different, why people of faith should be different, but how to go do it. And we want you by the end of this year to not only not want to be like the world, not want to be like everybody else, but actually celebrate that you're different. And if we're being real in the room right now, I think some of us who have tried to pursue this faith, it's not always easy to celebrate that we're different, is it? You got a lot of people telling you not to believe what you are curious about or what you do believe. You got a lot of people telling you how to think and what to do, and that what you're doing on Wednesday nights is whack, and that you believe in God with all this other stuff, and you got people telling you not to. But what's it look like to actually not only believe and know you're different, but celebrate that you're different? And we want to send you off in May of 2022 into the summer being proud of the fact that God has made you to be different. So with that said, what we're going to do right now is as a family, we're going to pray for this vision. We're going to pray for this year. And we're going to talk about what's this going to look like for the rest of the year. So if you would, pray with me. Jesus, I thank you for every person, every little brother, every little sister that I have in this room that sat in a seat tonight. I pray right now you would lay on their heart that they are not here on accident. You work all things for good. Your hand is in everything. You've known us since before we were even in our mother's womb. In fact, you say you knitted us in our mother's womb, and you count every hair on our head, so you know everything about us, and you know why we're here tonight. I pray that tonight we would just be sparked to start re-following maybe, or following stronger or more excited this faith that we have, God, that we would go be people, young people who are different. In schools where our friends and our circles and the internet are all trying to be the same, we want to be people who are radically different. I pray that through this process of this year, your hand would be on us as a family to teach us how to do this, why we need to be different for your sake, and how we can go do it. God, and I pray that by next summer, we are a family, an army of people celebrating that we're different for Jesus. We love you and we trust you with all these things. And all God's people sang, amen. Come on now. Come on now. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, y'all missed that? Some of y'all are like, no, Phil, I didn't miss it. That's okay, I still love you, and we're going to do it every week in Jesus' name. Whoa! Yeah! You know why? We different. Someone say different. 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 That's what I'm talking about. We about to just chant that all year. Y'all about to be in your schools like your teacher's going to be like, what's 17 minus 8? And you're going to be like, I'm different. And then we're going to get calls from your parents being like, why did my kids forget math? They never knew math. It's your fault, Mom. All right. No, respect your parents, okay? Please respect your parents. I'm just goofy. Here's what I'm going to do to kick off this idea of different, all right? I'm going to give you a visual. I'm going to put something up on the screen, the first of two pictures from what's called Where's Waldo. How many of you have ever heard of Where's Waldo? Here's a Where's Waldo. Everybody silent. Go ahead and look up. If you don't know what Waldo is, he's in a goofy striped shirt. He has a goofy striped hat, but he blends into the picture. So go ahead. Don't point him out. But once you think you found him, go ahead and put your hand up. Just go ahead and put your hand up. So just go ahead and take a second. Take a second. Look around for Waldo. Look around for Waldo. He's got a goofy little beanie. He's got like some flippity-floppity hair, kind of e-boy type looking stuff. But this was old school, so like he was ahead of his time. Keep looking, keep looking. I'm not going to lie, I used to love these books. I'm going to give you another 15 seconds. Keep looking for Waldo. Keep looking for Waldo. Actually, I'm going to give you more time because not a lot of y'all have found him yet. So once I see some more hands, I'm not going to lie to y'all, I spent hours in these books when I was kids just looking for Waldo. Yeah, Waldo and me were BFFs. All right, let's go to the next picture. Next picture, there's Waldo. You see him? Dead center. dead center. Dead center. So the idea of the Waldo books, and the reason they got really popular, and they were like for a little bit top-selling kids books and stuff like this, is because there's something that intrigues us about trying to find someone who stands out. Y'all already know where I'm going with this, and y'all ready for it. You're like, oh, Phil, what a great intro visual. There's something intriguing down deep in our soul that it just mystifies us to find someone who's different, to find someone who stands out, to look in a crowd and say, okay, where's the different one? Where's the one that I'm looking for? Now, how are we able to find him? So a bunch of you did, some of y'all didn't until we showed you. We're able to find him because he's different enough than anyone else in the picture. He's different enough than anyone else in the picture, so in this crazy picture, you can actually identify him amidst this craziness. He sticks out enough that you can pick him out from the crowd around him. I'm going to get right into this. I think in a similar way that we are intrigued by the idea of finding someone different or someone that sticks out, the Bible says almost the same things about us. And here's a verse, Romans 12:2, that we're going to stick with for a lot of the year. And it's my personal life verse, actually, and I would encourage you guys that maybe as a take-home tonight, memorize this verse. Romans 12:2, be reading that, but it says this: do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then you will be able to test what the will of God is, his perfect, pleasing, and good will. Here's my first point. We're going to get right into it. God created you to be different than the world around you. God created you to be different than the world around you. In the same way that Waldo is different enough in the pages of his books that you can find him, what I want to suggest and kick this year off for you is that God has created and called you to follow him and live life in a way that you're different than the things and people who surround you. And to take it a step further, what does this verse say? It actually says that if you want to know the will of God, like if you want some insight into what he's doing, like if I were to ask any of you, like, hey, if you got a free ticket to know what God was doing in your life, would you, like, how many of y'all would want that ticket? Anybody? By show of hands? Some of y'all, what tickets do you want? Goodness. It says that if we want this ticket, we want this understanding more about God and experience him more. It says a huge part comes from not conforming, but being transformed. This is one of the reasons this is my life verse, because in college, I really wanted to believe this faith, and God had really changed a lot in my life, but I was really walking this balance of like faith, but also living this way. Like I'd go to a Bible study and then a party afterwards. Or like I'd read my Bible while I was smoking weed. I'm just going to be real with you. We're a hot church, honest, open, transparent, so I'll talk about who I used to be because I'm not who I am anymore. You know what I'm saying? Come on. So we're okay talking about those things, but that's kind of where I was. And then this verse changed my life. Do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And then, if you don't conform, you're going to start to know what the will of God is. And this just blew my mind that, wait a second, if I started trying to be different, if I started doing my best, and no, we can't do this perfectly, but to not do what the world's doing, you're telling me I can understand more about God? Like I can learn more about him. I can have this insight and this connection to him from what? Being different? And I can tell you, as I started to be different, I started to understand God a whole lot more. As I stopped being worried about what everyone around me was doing and started being way more worried about what he was doing, I started to understand him a whole lot more. And to this day, I'm still learning this, but I have to say, I regularly, because it's my job, talk to people who are curious about God. Not committed yet, they're curious about God, but they also want to continue doing whatever they want and however they want. And then those same people are regularly confused about faith or don't feel like they understand this Jesus thing, and that's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence when we're curious about faith, which is a really good thing, but continue to do whatever the heck we want because we think we're always right about everything, that we don't really fully get the faith thing yet. Why? This verse tells us if you're still conforming, then your will of God won't be obvious to you. If you're not letting God transform you, then the will of God may seem like fleeting from you. Maybe like, well, how do they get it so much? How can they say they hear from God? How does the Bible make so much sense to them? And maybe they're living a little different, which is changing how they understand God. But I talk to people like this, and I just don't think it's a coincidence because we were created to be different. You physically, at your inner being, were made to be different than people who don't believe what you believe. You were not meant to look like them. You were not meant to act like them. You were not meant to believe what they believe, not to conform to whatever everyone else is doing and saying and believing. And when you do choose to conform, you're not going to get it, I think, sometimes. You're going to miss what God has for you sometimes. So as we just tee off this week, this idea of different, like wherever you're at in this faith walk, I just want to say if you are rock solid in this thing and you're like, dude, I just believe it. Jesus has rocked and changed my life and I'm living different now. Or you're like, honestly, Phil, I don't really know. You get me excited about it, but then nobody else does because the world sucks. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of in the middle here. I don't know. We are so happy you're here. Everybody's got to start somewhere. Can I tell you, I didn't believe any of this junk till I was 20. So y'all got time. But believing it now would be better than going through what I went through. You know what I'm saying? So I'd encourage you in that. But ask yourself this, wherever you're at on this walk, how much do I look like everyone around me? In your seat right now, ask yourself that question. That's a painful question with what we're talking about right now. How much do I look like everyone around me? And if the answer is a lot, maybe you haven't been walking in your different. Maybe you've been conforming, like this verse says, a little bit too much. And that's not like a condemnation on you or shame on you. We don't do that here. It's encouragement that God's got more. And maybe if you look like that and you'd be willing to say that like, I look like other people a lot, I'd maybe also be willing to bet if that's where you're at, then maybe you're in the room and you'd be the type to say, well, I've been struggling to see God in my life. And I think half the room is like, holy moly, Phil, really? Week one, you came right at me like this? Why are you talking directly to me? It's not me. Jesus is talking to you. But maybe that's just something we got to, as we kick off this idea of different, just realize right now, maybe if we're the type that like, I just haven't been seeing God, maybe it's because you've been looking too much like everybody else. Maybe there's been some conforming, some acting like other people that God doesn't have for you. And he says, when you transform that, you're going to see me more, you're going to feel me more, you're going to understand me more. And maybe a lot of us in the room then should be excited for this year's journey, to learn why we should be different and how to be different, to walk in a new faith and a new freedom this year that you've never had before. Because maybe a lot of us, and there's areas of my life that I can say, yes, like I fail this. Maybe a lot of us right now don't really stand out like Waldo. Like in your circles, your schools, your sports, your teams, whatever, your clubs, yada, 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 even your families, like you don't stand out and be able to be picked out for your faith. And while we want to challenge you in that, I want to encourage you that like recognizing that's okay, and this could be the year for you. This could be the change for you. But trust me, Romans 12, we're going to sit on that verse a lot this year, but Romans 12 is not the only Bible verse that talks about us being different. There's another passage I love that shows us how distinguished, how different the Christian life, and it comes from this, Isaiah 55, 1 through 2. Isaiah 55, 1 through 2. And it says this, come, all you who are thirsty, come to the waters. And you who have no money, come, buy and eat. Come, buy wine and milk without money and without cost. Why spend money on what is not bread? And why labor on what does not satisfy? Listen to me, and eat what is good, and you will delight in the richest of fare. Now, what this is saying, it's a metaphor, right? So Isaiah was this prophet thousands of years ago, which if y'all know Bible prophecy, then you would believe this so deeply, because my man is thousands of years old and saying stuff that is like true today, which is just mind-blowing. That's not for today's message, though. But what he's doing here, he's not talking about actually buying milk and bread and honey and wine. Y'all ain't 21, so don't be playing with none of that. You know what I'm saying? What he's saying is, why are you spending your time and your money, and why are you working on a whole bunch of stuff that's not doing squat for you? He's saying, listen, I have something that's free of cost, and it's going to satisfy you. I can offer you something that isn't going to waste your time. I can offer you something that's better than all those other things you pursue, and it's right here in me and in the person of Jesus. And I feel like this passage, which was written thousands and thousands of years ago, maybe rings even more true today than when it was written. What do I mean by that? Isaiah is getting a word from God, and he's basically like, yo, Stop turning to all that stuff. Like, stop spending your time here. Stop wasting your time here. It's not going to cut it. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to fill your soul. But says, listen, if you're thirsty, like metaphorically, if you feel like you need something more than the world's giving you, listen, anybody in the room feel like you need something more than the world is currently offering you? Anybody in the room who gets to the end of the day and is like, what are we doing here? Thank you for being honest, because there's about 30 other people in the room who didn't raise their hands, who have felt that hopelessness every day, and that's okay. God knows that between you and him. And he's saying, if you're that, man, if you're feeling that emptiness, you're feeling that thirstiness, if you're feeling that brokenness, that poorness, you're going to delight in the richest of fare if you come to me. And guess what? You don't have to work for it either. You don't got to go chasing those things, trying to buy those things, trying to do those things that never mattered to begin with. But today, like we mentioned earlier, you guys, people in general, have more options of what to turn to than ever before. There's a reason that statistically now young people are choosing to leave the church at higher rates than they ever had, because they have more options on the buffet table to choose from. Now, one thing you'll hear here a million times is that we don't believe God is an option on the buffet table. He is the table, okay? But the truth of the matter is, because of the era you were born into, and you have no control over this, you have more options, ideas, and thoughts at your fingertips than anybody else ever has. A million people chirping in your ear about what you should do. And a lot of these voices, if we're being real, we can just look at the public school system, say, God ain't it. Like, God isn't what we should be doing here. Like, God isn't real. God is just this list of rules. Religion just controls people. If God was real, why'd this happen or that happen? We have intelligent people that you'll find on TikTok or whatever trying to disprove God to you, and all these different things that believing in God is silly. Yet, I'd like to challenge that this way. If the Bible tells us over and over and over and over for the last couple thousand of years that pursuing other things are going to leave you empty, thirsty, and feeling broke, do you think it's coincidental that in a world, in a country where the church attendance and religion is declining by percentages, statistics like depression, anxiety, suicide, loneliness, substance abuse, alcoholism, drug addiction, dependence issues are higher than we've ever seen them in the history of the world? If all of these options that the world is telling you you need and that God's whack, they're increasingly believing that, and then all of the negative things of humanity are also increasing, is that coincidental? I would argue it's very hard to say that it is, because these types of statistics didn't exist 50 years ago, 100 years ago, where young people, whether they're being forced or not, were in church more often. And faith was a little bit more like based in the school systems and things like that, right? And this idea of God was a little more in the culture. And then as God has been kicked out of the culture by people who think they know what they're doing, what's also happened? All of the things God promises us has slowly been leaving: faith, peace, love, joy, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, self-control. As we kick God out, notice those things are going with it. Do we think this is a coincidence? We can't. Young people are medicated today at rates that we've never seen anything like. And that's not a knock on medication, it's about the state of the world. Yet these same people who are trying to chirp in your ear about all these things, little Jimmy and Sally and Bobby Who and the guy on TikTok that keeps showing up that's like, you can't believe in God, you know what I'm saying? Like, those same people, the ones feeling the brokenness, the ones feeling the emptiness, the ones feeling the thirst, the ones not having the answers for themselves, are the same ones trying to tell us God isn't real. Are the same ones trying to kick God out of schools. Are the same ones telling you shouldn't base your family off of faith. You can't make decisions off of faith. And here's my point that goes with this. Where the world settles for less, God made you for more. Where the world settles for less, God made you for more. I'm watching it, y'all. I'm watching as my young brothers and sisters, y'all, you are influenced in so many ways, and so many of you are so new to faith that you're not sure what to do about it, and you need to hear this from your big bro Phil right now. When the people around you settle for less, when the people around you settle for the stuff leaving them thirsty, when the people around you settle for the stuff making them depressed and making them, God made you for more. He didn't make you to choose less like he's talking about in Isaiah. He didn't create you to choose the things that you got to pay and strive and labor for that don't do anything for you. He says, no, come to me and you'll get the richest of delight. I made you for more. The world is more and more turning to things other than God and consistently getting really bad results. Like, I've gotten to the point where it breaks my heart for people, but in the same breath, it's almost comical because then I just repeatedly have the same conversations with people like, do you know Jesus? No, that's a bunch of garbage. Well, everything you've chosen in life is garbage too so far. Maybe you should try new garbage. It might work out better for you. And I tell people, I'm like, listen, man, I'm not trying to be that cheesy Christian dude. I'm not trying to be over-the-top religious or any of that stuff, because if you know me, I'm not like that. But one thing I'll tell you is everything you've chosen has failed you. Try something new. When they're choosing less, God made you for more. I hope that you believe it. One of our goals this year is to teach you to believe that. He's made you to be different. He wants you to make different decisions and pursue something different than what your friends are choosing, than what the people at your schools are choosing. What the people on the internet are saying and doing. They're settling for less when God made you for more. Because what happens when you settle for less, you get less. If you want to make the easy decisions in life and choose the easy things and choose the stuff everybody else is doing, you're going to get the same results as them. Can I tell you the happiest people in the world I know are all Christian? The most joyful people in the world I know are all Christian. The people making the biggest changes in the world, there's a reason 90-some% of worldwide charity is Christian. Because people who love Jesus go make a difference because they're different. And I think you've probably seen that in your circles. And one thing I love about this group is a lot of you are that different. And even if you're already being that different, this year we want to empower you to the next level of different. Because we believe you guys are world changers. But I want to kind of close with one more point and one more thought. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw up another Where's Waldo? All right? And this one's a little harder. So I'm going to give you guys another minute or two. Look for Waldo, okay? Look for Waldo. If you think you found him, go ahead and pop your hands up. This one is definitely, if you've ever done Waldo, there's easy books, medium books, and hard books. I think this comes out of one of the hard books. All right, I'm going to give you another 30 seconds. Find Waldo, y'all. Find Waldo. Come on. Don't leave Waldo hanging, all right? Don't do it. Y'all might be doing a little better with it. Now y'all ready. You were prepared. All right, another couple seconds. Come on. If you got bad eyesight, I'm sorry. This visual wasn't for you. I see Amy Child squinting. She's like, I can't even see the screen, Phil. All right, here we go. Next slide. There he is. If you found him, give yourself a patty pat on the backy back. You know what I'm saying? We like to encourage ourselves. Now, before I hit you with my last point for the night and we worship and send y'all off to D groups, I want to ask a question. If our goal is to find Waldo in these, what makes it harder and harder as the pictures get more and more difficult? I think go ahead, what do you think? There's more people that look the same. That's you might as well just stick there because that's where I'm going. But any others? What else? Yeah, what else? There's way more going on. Yeah, it's a much more crowded photo, right? So fill in the blank of how this got harder, right? But one thing I want us to hear here is the primary thing that makes it harder to find as the difficulties in these go up is that the more he blends in with the crowd, the harder it is. The more similar colors, the more similar looking people, the more similar looking outfits, the more similar looking trends. You see where I'm going with this? The harder he is to find. Why? The more you blend in, the harder you are to find. The more you blend in, the harder you are to find. And we're going to talk about why that's important, but let's read one more passage where God says some stuff about this idea of being different, and it's Matthew 5:14 through 16, and it says this: You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on its stand, and it gives light to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine. Let your different shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. My last point is this. We aren't meant to blend in. We're made to stand out. We aren't meant to blend in. We're made to stand out. Like, I say this as a loving encouragement because, listen, y'all, I'm a people pleaser. I care about what people think about me. I can lie and say I don't. Like, I don't give a rip what you think about me. But then I go home and I'm like, did they even like the message? Oh, my gosh. And it takes me 5 days to recover. Thank you, brother. Yes. But what I can tell you is someone who, like, God is, like, I'm a recovering people pleaser. Like, I'm a recovering, like I really need approval and attention, and God's freed me from a lot of that, right? But one thing I can tell you is someone who relates to that and relates to the culture of wanting to be like everyone else. And I want to do the trends because, y'all, he just got 1.2 million likes, and, like, I could do that same dance, you know what I'm saying? And, like, I get that like, feeling, but what I need you to hear is that you weren't made to blend in. You were always meant to stand out. God didn't make you to be like everyone else. He's pulled you into this faith. He's pulled you into this family. He's revealed to you these truths, if you know them, for a reason. And it's because you weren't meant to look like everybody else. And the word here clearly says you're the light of the world, and we don't take the light and cover it with the trends everyone else is doing. We don't take the light and cover it with what everyone else looks like. We don't take your light and cover it with what everybody else says and does and believes. That's covering up your different. That's changing what God already made for you to be different. So what's this saying to us? Before we get into worship tonight, it's saying stand out. Be different. Love Jesus when no one else does. Love people even when they're difficult. Do things no one else in your school is doing rather than trying to do what everybody else is doing. Sit next to the kid who's alone. Ask people how they're doing. Sacrifice your time and stuff for other people. Be happy in a miserable world. Just be happy. That's different enough. You know what I'm saying? Like, we struggle with how to act and who to follow and what to be and fight. Like, we fight. To some of y'all, fight to be accepted by certain people. You fight to be seen certain ways. When God says you're a light on a hill, shine. I made you exactly how you are. Stop fighting to be accepted by people when you're already fully accepted and loved by me, and I'm the one who made you, so who cares what they think? Shine. Be different. What would it look like if every day in your schools you didn't ask, how can I fit in? You asked, how can I stand out? What if you got to school, you woke up in the morning, your first thought wasn't, what should I wear today so I look cool with everybody else? And like, how many TikToks am I going to film today? You know what I'm saying? And how can I just look really cool and dope with however I do this, that, and the other? And instead you ask me, how can I be different today? How could I actually stand out from what everybody else is doing because they wasting their time and I ain't got time to waste because you don't get time back, okay? What would it look like if we asked that question instead? Can I be real with y'all? That's why I'm crazy. Like, that's why I'm so extra all the time. It is intentional, okay? I run out of energy too. But when I'm in a room, I genuinely have made it my life goal. I want people to be like, he's really weird and different. Why? And if they ask me, you know what I'm going to say? I know a guy named Jesus. What up with it? You know what I mean? But I want to be different. Do you? Do you? And that's what we're here for this year. We want to talk about why Christians should be different. And we're going to dive into how to be different. My closing question for you is this. When you do finally find Waldo in these pictures, he's different enough that he sticks out. Leave tonight with this question. Are you different enough that when someone found you, you stick out? Or when you run into people and you encounter people through life and you make new relationships, are you just like everybody else? Or do they say, man, that's a Waldo in a world of people looking the same? And are we okay with being Waldo in a world with people looking the same? God created you, family, to be different than the world around you. Where the world settles for less, God made you for more, and we're not meant to blend in. We're made to stand out. Pray with me. Jesus, you are so good. God, all I ask right now is that with this new vision, this new direction you're taking us, God, would you just soften our hearts in this moment to want to be different? Would you lay it on our hearts that you have given us such amazing purpose, and as this year progresses, would you make us excited that you are going to teach us why to be different and how to be different, and it's about to be a beautiful process. I pray and thank you for every young person in this room, that you love them, that you made them intentionally, that they are not here by accident. And I pray that in this time as we worship, you would be grateful for who you are and what you've done. We pray all these things, and all God's people said, amen. You guys can get up from your seats, come on up to the front, and we are going to worship.
Prosper. When the darkness falls, it won't prevail. 'Cause the God I serve knows only how to triumph. My God will never fail. My God will never fail. I'm gonna see a victory. See your victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see your victory. I'm gonna see your victory, for the battle belongs to you, There's power in the mighty name of Jesus. Every war he wages, he will win. I'm not backing down from any giant. I know how this story ends. I know how this story ends. I'm gonna see your victory. I'm gonna see your victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see your victory. I'm gonna see your victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see your victory. I'm gonna see your victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. I'm gonna see your victory. I'm gonna see your victory, for the battle belongs to you, Lord. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. You take what the enemy meant for evil, and you turn it for good. You turn it for good. When the silence seals my voice, you understand me. You understand me. And come to me in the valley of unknowns. You understand me. You understand me. You understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought you were. I believe, but help my unbelief. You understand me. You understand me. Help me reach the faith that's underneath. You understand me. You understand me. Yes, you understand me, God. You understand me. So I throw all my cares before you. My doubts and fears don't scare you. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought. So I stop all negotiations with the God of all creation. You're bigger than I thought you were. You're bigger than I thought you were. In the Father's hands, leave the rest in the Father's hands, and I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I will rest in the Father's hands. Leave the rest in the Father's hands. I Lord, thank you for bringing us here tonight. Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be with one another after a crazy year that's, just getting crazier. I thank you for the ability to be back in here and be with our Awaken family and just be praising and glorifying your name. I thank you for the wonderful leaders that we have who are able to draw us closer to you, and I thank you for every person in this room who's able to feel closer to each other and to you because of your amazing grace. And I thank you for everything that you've done for us, all the ways that you've protected us and guarded our hearts through this last, crazy stretch of life. And I know that you have got us and you have a plan for all of us. And even if we can't see it right now, I know that you've got us. And I just thank you for everything that you've done. And we are so ready to lift up your name and worship and just sing one more song and really feel that love and feel that amazing grace. Breaking through all the lies with the truth. Hear the sound of the wind. Let the roar of heaven begin. Can't stay silent, can't stay still when you show up in power, glory revealed. No, I can't stay silent, can't stay still when I feel the fire, feel the ground shake. Heaven invade! Heaven invade! There's freedom in this place. Every heart awaken, everything is changing now. Heaven invade! Broken hearts on the mend, all depression must end, all the shame and the fear run away when you're here. Can't stay silent, can't stay still when you show up in power, glory revealed. No, I can't stay silent, can't stay still when I feel the fire, feel the ground shake. Heaven invade! Heaven invade! There's freedom in this place. Every heart awaken, everything is changing now. Heaven invade! My heart starts to race and I can't contain the feeling of joy. Being in your presence, I can't help but dance, can't help but sing, and I don't really care what anyone thinks. My heart starts to race and I can't contain the feeling of joy. Being in your presence, I can't help but dance, can't help but sing, and I don't really care what anyone thinks.
Awaken, how y'all feeling? That's what I'm talking about, y'all. This is just the beginning, so I hope you are excited. This year, we are about to break new ground. Awaken's about to be wild, so make sure every week you telling your mommy, auntie, uncle, friends. Your mommy, auntie, uncle can't come, but tell them anyways, you know what I'm saying? Tell age-appropriate people. Now, I'm about to kick y'all out into D groups, but real quick, we got one announcement that we're not even going to show you any videos yet or nothing, but we got to tell y'all because the first wave of prices is due this Friday, and that is Revive 2021. Yes. Yes. Now, this is all I'm telling y'all about Revive right now, okay? If you don't know what it is, long story short, it is our yearly, insane, amazing getaway weekend retreat where we head out, sessions, wildness, God, crazy, all the stuff, and we are back at River Valley Ranch this year. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. We are locked in. Now, here's what you need to know. It's all you need to know. The Revive packets are out on the lobby counters. The first wave of prices is $150, and that, if you want that price, is due by this Friday. So that's the early bird special. That's like if you can get mommy and daddy to be like, let's do it real quick, you get that price. If not, registrations are open for another 2 months, but the prices do slowly go up. So the next price is $160. It's not mind-breakingly more, okay? But Revive is on, people. One more time for Revive 2021. Yes. Yes. All right, y'all. D group leaders, we are almost perfectly on time, but not, okay? So here's what we're going to do. Since we have a fair amount of new people, I'm going to introduce groups one by one, and some of you guys are in new rooms, okay? Leaders have this texted to them, but I'm going to go ahead and introduce our 7th grade ladies first. So my 7th grade lady leaders are right back here, Amanda and Ellie. All my 7th grade